Hey HBs, welcome back to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two long-distance best friends stay connected across the country by reading romance novels and recapping them together. This week is part 1 of The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. Let's do it! Hi, Erin.
Hey, Melody.
Could I just tell you real quick that you look positively radiant.
Luminescent.
And I would say stylish.
Stylish?
Stylish, yeah.
Is it the incredibly old lady looking, what is this even called? Shower cap that I'm wearing?
You know what? If I were to really nail it down, because I want to guess at what you're doing. Just over here, I would just want to guess. I'm thinking this is the curly girl doing a deep moisture mask look.
I'm trying. I don't know what to do. You know, like 2 years ago, I got a mermaid wavy perm, and it looked fantastic. Like, you can vouch for this. It looked really good. This time, I got it, and it looks like total, it's like a complete just nest of straw and it's not my hairdresser's fault. It's not her fault. It's my fault because it was bleached. It was bleached.
Oh.
And I came to her and I said, Melissa, I've been conditioning. I've been eating right. I've been rubbing crystals on this. I've been doing all my chants. I've been meditating. I've been doing everything right.
Every possible mantra.
Yeah. I've been singing to it and lullabies at night, you know. And I'm like, tell me it's healthy enough for one of those beautiful mermaid perms. And she's like, I don't know, yo. Like, I'm not totally confident that it is. And I was like, just do it. And
it mayhaps wasn't.
Oh, God. It is just fucking rat's nest of terrible. And you're trying to tell me all these tips. They're like, throw out your brushes. Don't ever shampoo it. I got this thing.
I didn't know I sounded like that.
Yes, golly. You do. I'm sorry. That wasn't an impression of you. But I got this thing in, I don't know, like September. It's been at least 5 weeks.
I was going to say a month ago-ish.
Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks. I haven't shampooed it once.
Oh.
Not one time. It's been just conditioner in this hair, and still, it's the driest tumbleweed there's ever been. Not a hint of oil is being made by this scalp. It's not like I'm just shampooing it like it was when it was straight, and I'm just expecting it to be normal. I just don't know what to do. I haven't been brushing it. I don't know.
Well, I think that so you already told us on the cult that you ordered a microfiber towel. Really important.
I did. I just used it for the first time just now.
Excellent. Yeah, no terry cloth should ever hit your hair. Never.
Yeah,
if you forget your microfiber towel, then pick up a t-shirt because a t-shirt works just fine.
A t-shirt?
Yes, if you're traveling and you forget your microfiber towel, just pick up one of your old t-shirts.
$30 would have been saved.
No, microfiber is a little bit better.
Okay.
Also, it means less laundry for you because if you have like leftover conditioner in your hair, you can't really wear the t-shirt, you know?
Sure.
And then travel with your pillowcase, your silk or satin pillowcase, or get a scarf.
I bought the silk pillowcase and then I bought a real fancy silk hair hat.
Get it, girl.
It's a little silky hat that cost me way too much, but it was real adorable. And so that's coming in the mail from Anthropology for no reason. There's no reason I should have spent that much money, but it's coming.
I dig it. So this is good. Doing the shower cap situation, really good. If you can sit under a hairdryer for a little while just to heat up your hair so that the follicles open while you have the mask in, like before you rinse it out, that would be a good idea. And then if you plop, that also helps sometimes.
What's a plop?
After you get out of the shower, you've brushed your hair in the shower. You put your leave-in conditioner in, and then you put whatever gel you're using, like whatever product to keep the curls together. You put that in, and then you flip your head over. You use your microfiber towel to push like all of your hair up onto your head, and you basically turban it for like half an hour or so until your hair is much drier. But it keeps the curls smushed while they're drying a little bit so that they're more springy when they dry the rest of the way.
Interesting.
That might help.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So those are just my cursory tips.
All right. Well, I switched from, I was trying the Not Your Mother's something wavy something cream gel or something like that. And I just purchased the Diva Curl Archangel gel, which I think is probably better. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, and Diva Curl won't have any silicones in the products. You can never
Neither
ever
does Not Your Mother's.
I'm just saying that's the silicone is a no-no because you can't. The only thing that will take that out is a sulfate product, a sulfate shampoo or like a clarifying shampoo. And that's not good for curls.
I just don't know. I've got to take these engagement photos and I'm like,
I'm
gonna stressing.
Look beautiful. Just go to your hairdresser and she'll fix it, right?
I can't just go to my hairdresser. I've been out of town for 4 weeks straight. She doesn't have, like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to, I'm losing my mind. I don't even have anything to wear. I don't know what to do. HBs, go on the cult and tell me what to wear for my engagement photos. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to show up in a t-shirt and just be like, just do it. I don't know how.
You can do some jeans and a sweater or something. Isn't it fucking cold there already?
Yeah, I can do a sweater. Problem is I gotta do like laundry. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. You. It's a lot.
I know, you've been traveling a ton. But that's almost over too.
Yeah. I should be here for a little bit. Anyways.
All right.
Did you read a book this week?
I read several, actually. I read several books this week. But I read one in particular. And that is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. Did you read that book? Question mark?
I did. Yay! I did. I read it when I was in Kansas 2 weeks ago. Oof. Okay. Yeah. Here we go, guys.
So I have a couple of disclaimers because I know that there are a lot of Mariana Zapata fans out there. And this is the first Mariana Zapata I've been able to read. I plan on reading many more because I want to know.
We have to read.
From Lukov with Love, right?
From Lukov with Love. And we have to read, I think it's Under Lock is in our, we have two more in our lineup, so it's mandatory.
Yeah, and I am legitimately excited about those.
Yes.
However, I have a couple of disclaimers. First of all, if anybody knows me, they probably could guess that the term slow burn would not be one of my favorite things.
All burn all the time. More burn.
More burn. More burn. Third degree. Give it to me. Yeah. So
more is more. The Melody Carlisle motto.
Always more. So yeah, slow burn. I like them sometimes, but the other thing is that if it is a slow burn, I'm gonna need the biggest payoff a romance author has ever given me. I need you to make it worth my while. Mm-hmm. And so these are things these are things that impacted my enjoyment of this particular novel. My other thing was that in my romance, especially like the past 2 weeks, I don't think were great timing for this book because some stressful things were happening that had nothing to do with the podcast or anything else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I really wanted like an escape book. Mm-hmm. And a lot of this book like actually lined up with my personal experience. Like the heroine
makes a lot of quinoa.
You make a
lot of quinoa.
I do.
And so does she.
Yeah. But she also is like under this crazy amount of student loan debt. And it took me back to a place where I was in a crazy amount of student loan debt and like trying to negotiate that.
So was Naledi, because I was thinking about that while reading this. I'm like...
But she didn't talk about it constantly.
True.
She did not talk about it constantly.
Yeah.
And between the vegan cooking and the constant talk of student loans and then the hero not actually seeming very nice to her for a good 3/4 of the book.
He wasn't nice, but he wasn't unnice. It was just a nothing.
Actually,
nothing burgers.
You hit it on the head when we texted, because I was like, I texted
What
and
did
I was like,
say?
do you like book? And you were like, because a lot of times we texted Muppet speak, even if we're not actually in all caps.
I'm so glad that when I can convert somebody else to Muppet text, it makes me so happy. I've gotten David pretty much all the way there.
So, yeah, you definitely did this to me. So I said,
like
do you like
book?
book? Yeah. And you were like, I'm really enjoying our first neurodiverse hero.
Oh, yes. I forgot I told you that. Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm only 52% of the way through. Is that true or is that a joke? And you were like, it could be both. It is both. Because
it is both true. It is both a joke. Not that I would make fun of somebody for being neurodiverse. That's not what I'm trying to imply. It's just she never says this guy's autistic.
Right.
But I think he definitely super duper is. Because
I definitely think he's on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah.
Or he could be.
I kept waiting for the explanation of like why he is this way.
Right.
You know, personality wise, he is this way. And we never really got there. I mean, we got some explanations of some things in his past, but nothing that makes him just treat people this way and focus on things with like the laser focus that he does and the routines that he must have every day. Like those sorts of things.
And
never
the
quite
obsessive
explained.
Commitment to something, the way that when he latches on, especially like he doesn't pick up on any of the social cues he gives her when they have conflicts.
Right.
He will not let things go. He's like, no, but I want to talk about it. And she's like, the last thing I want to do right now is talk about it. And you need to get out of my face. And he's like, but I don't care because I have to talk about it.
Right.
And like, he just will not let it go. So his conflict style really made me think that.
Mm-hmm. And that's fine that it's, I felt like that was kind of the only explanation for how he dealt with social relationships and also his career. But, you know, I'm definitely not a professional in the field of any kind of thing. So,
not at all.
It just seemed like that way to me.
Not at all. And okay, I read it twice because I needed to. And I enjoyed it a lot more the second time.
Well, you listened to it and then you read it.
Yes.
So do you think it was the second time, or do you think it was because you were reading and were allowed more freedom to herbs? Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Because I've been thinking about this too. Because if I buy an Audible thing or if I use a credit, I will read along with the Audible. Mm-hmm. Like I look at it and hear it, and it helps me, especially if it's a book for the podcast, it helps me remember the plot for the episode.
Honestly, the idea that you read books that are not for the podcast just still like blows my mind. Continue.
Sure. So, yeah, but I'm also not like writing law briefs all the time. So, you know.
Fair.
So I'm wondering, because the first couple of chapters especially really bothered me. Like I had a really hard time with the heroine, and I had a hard time connecting with the book. And I think it might be because I was listening to it. And so I could hear all of the repetitiveness. Mm-hmm. Like this is a really long book. I think it's like 450 or 500 pages.
Right.
Of slow burn. I just need to pregnant pause that.
Well, I mean, okay, I'm sorry. I'll wait for you to make your point, but I have some thoughts on the length of this thing.
Okay. Well, and so in the first few chapters, she kept on talking, and I kept on being like, okay, so I understand that you hate your job. I understand that you're afraid to leave said job. I do not need you to tell me in 15 different rephrasings.
So many different
those
ways.
2 points. Yeah. And it just kept on happening. And I don't think it would have bothered me as much if I was reading it. But because I was listening to it, I was just like, why is this bitch still talking to me about this? Like, we had this conversation. If it was a friend, I would have stopped her and been like, no, I understand.
I know. Let's talk about more things.
Right. But I couldn't stop her because it was a book.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead. What was your point?
I couldn't stop her because it was a book.
I couldn't. It was a one-sided conversation, you guys.
I feel so bad because so many people wanted this book. I think more than one 5-star iTunes reviewer wanted this book. when we announced it, so many people were like, that's my favorite book. Can't wait to hear it. The Mariana Zapata fans are like sharks, or maybe worse than sharks, and they're going to chomp us down or burn us down. I know it. Like, they're going to slow burn us. Like, they're going
to roast us.
Oh, God. I wanted it so bad. I was so excited to read this book for so many weeks. And I picked it up, and it wasn't a hockey, and that was already, I was like, it's the one with Winnipeg. It's a hockey defenseman. There's no, how is it not hockey? So I was already like, oh, it's a football. I don't even know the rules of football. Like, I don't, oof. Like, I mean, I don't super know the rules of hockey either, but it's a little bit better than football.
Right. And luckily, all you really needed to know was the rules of graphic design for this. Okay. But still.
So already I was a little bit like, harumph. But to me, okay, I was so excited to read a slow burn in a way that I think you weren't, because I haven't ever read something that was quote unquote a slow burn before. But to me, the part that I love most in a romance novel, and I think it's everybody's favorite part, is when it's cooking and you don't know. Yeah. And it's the buildup and it's the tension. And I was like, oh, this is clearly an author that, by, what her legions of fans are saying, can keep that going for like 500 pages. And I was like, that sounds outstanding.
Right. Same.
But to me, and that may be the case with the other books. If I read the other books, I don't know.
Right.
But with this one, it felt like it was not burning at all until like the last maybe 100 or so pages.
Yeah, and because there are because the book is quite long, we get to know a lot of the side characters really well. Mm-hmm. And I really, the whole time, I was like, how is this not a book about Zach? Mm-hmm. How is this not a book about their other roommate? I don't know why these, like, apparently their pheromones are just so opposite, because I did not get why they weren't making out all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think I would have liked this a lot more if it had gotten kind of a rough edit. Like, if it had gotten an edit that hurt a little bit. So a speech term, you guys, because we only have 10 minutes to perform and we have to cut a lot. And so if a student, from like a coaching standpoint, if a student is like, how could you take out that line? We're like, it's called cutting because it hurts. Mm-hmm. That's what this book needed. I needed chapters 1 and 2 to be the same chapter, because I understand the concepts of being afraid of leaving a stable job and going off on your own. Mm-hmm. I really think I would have loved the heroine a lot more if that had been a bit more concise. So anyway,
yeah,
I think that really is the crux of the issue for me.
Just know this book is the same length as The Duchess War. The Duchess War had so much plot and subplot and side characters and exciting things and like going to jails and, like all kinds of, Courtney Milan, she packs in a plot for sure. Same length as that. And we struggled to make the Duchess War 1 episode because that was before we were ever breaking into 2 episodes.
Yes.
This one we had planned for 2 episodes because of the length of the book, just assuming we're also going to love it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not certain we're going to have enough to talk about because I felt like nothing happened for so long. But we'll try to do it right now. We're going to do it now.
So,
who knows? Maybe it'll be 2 episodes. Maybe we'll talk for a long time. Who knows?
Welcome to our review of The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata.
All right.
We have Vanessa. Who is this... Actually, you know what? Vanessa's a really rad chick. Mm-hmm. Everything about her is really rad. And then we have Aiden. Is our hero. And then a cast of side characters, both furry and muscular.
Yes.
So, Vanessa is Aiden's personal assistant. She does everything for him. She's actually also his personal chef.
He's a professional football player.
Yes, he is a defense line man.
He's a
I'm sure they said it in the book.
He's a blocker.
He blocks a lot of shit.
My first thought was like, he's a blocker. That's roller derby. That's not.
You know what? In one game, he sacked a quarterback. So whoever does that, he's that guy.
He's a tackle person.
He's a tackle guy.
Yes.
So he and Vanessa have worked together for 2 years. Mm-hmm. He's also fucking hot. He's like 6'5", and he's all different kinds of muscles. but all of them are really, really fit and hard and knitted together and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when she first started working for him, she talks in the first chapter. I actually really liked it. She says that it wasn't because she had a crush on him. She keeps on saying, it's not because I have a crush on him. When of course, she's got a big old crush on him. Or at least she did when she first started working for him, because he's beautiful and successful. And she really admires his commitment to his craft, because he doesn't party. He doesn't have friends. That was the other thing. I think there was a piece of me that was like, this guy is no fun. I'm not saying I'm anti-puzzle. But like, if puzzle is your main hobby other than your job, I just don't think we're going to get along. Because I am not a puzzler.
He loves puzzles, you guys. It's like his favorite thing is puzzles. Quinoa and puzzles. And he's like, he's a vegan, which I think is probably very uncommon for the muscly big football player. Yeah. But they never really explained why he's vegan. He didn't like really talk about, I don't know if he likes aminals or
he doesn't like being called vegan. He likes saying that he lives a meatless lifestyle.
Right. No animal products, though. So he's definitely a vegan.
Yeah.
He's not just a vegetarian. He's a full-on vegan.
Exactly.
Can I talk about... Okay, so they've been working together 2 years. Yeah. She goes back and she talks about like when she was hired for the job.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what exactly job she had before getting this job, but she talks about, I kind of did odds and ends sorts of things, worked in an office, worked in a So that made me uniquely qualified for this job. And it didn't, though. Like, I don't understand, because she goes to the interview and they're like, you're going to have to cook all his food. Is that okay? And I'm like, what about anything she did? Because most of what she does is personal chef sort of things.
Yeah, a metric fuck ton of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's 70% cooking meals and bringing them to him. And then the other 30% is like cleaning, taking calls, doing like PR stuff, like social media.
Right.
She had no PR experience, no social media management experience. Like, nothing that she actually did in this job was anything she'd ever done before.
She took a photography course.
Sure.
So she could take pictures of him doing all the squats.
Okay, listen.
Ching, ching, ching. I will take pictures of you doing squats.
Ching, ching,
Sign
ching,
me
ching.
up. Ching,
all right, listen. Anyone can take pictures of this guy doing squats and make him look good, I'm pretty sure. She talks about how she like posts something on Instagram of him doing squats, and then like all the women would comment like, damn, I'm pregnant right now.
Yeah. Ovary explosion.
But she is not attracted to him.
No, she is not, she says. No, not anymore. Mm-mm. Well, you know what? After 2 years of him either barking orders or not talking to her, because that's the book opens by her saying, I'm going to kill him. Someday I'm going to kill him. It's going to be after I quit so that nobody suspects me, but I'm going to murder him.
Right. She has this thing she does where she gives him the finger, but like behind various furniture, which is really funny. And then at one point, like he always knows. He's always like, you're giving me the finger behind that piece of furniture. And she calls him a witch, which I thought was really funny. She's like,
I really like that too. Yeah.
I really like calling men witches.
A warlock. A wizard. Yeah. He is a magical person. Yeah, it was really cute. She's very witty.
Yeah. It's a very funny, well-written book.
Yes. But here is Vanessa's predicament. The crux of the issue, you guys, is that she is trained as a graphic designer. And that's what she wants to do. She wants to strike out on her own and create her own business. And she has been doing that for the past 4 years since she's graduated. She's been building a book of clients. She's been saving up as much as she possibly can, scrimping and saving.
Right.
So that she has a year's salary to fall back on if something goes awry. She's a really, really smart, awesome lady. And she's got a plan. But understandably, she is afraid of leaving this stable paycheck, even though it takes up all of her time, even though she's getting between 4 and 5 hours of sleep a night max because she's working full time with him and it's crazy hours if he's traveling or doing whatever, and then doing her graphic design work on the side as a side hustle. And, it's really stressful. And she knows that she could do a better job and really make this business a thing if she just left.
And she's done graphic design for other people on the team. to include Aiden's roommate, Zach, the quarterback on the football team. And Aiden doesn't even, know she's a graphic designer.
No idea.
He never even says thank you when she does shit for him. He literally does not ever acknowledge or talk to her, except when he's telling her directly he needs something done.
Right.
That's it.
He doesn't, when he walks into a room, he does not say hello. When he leaves a room, he does not say goodbye.
Right.
He does not say thank you.
Nothing.
He does not say I'm sorry.
Everybody else on the team knows she's a graphic designer, knows her birthday, knows her last name. Everybody else is all about Vanessa, not Aiden.
Yeah, not only that, she's redone a bunch of their websites, and she has drawn and designed tattoos that are on his fellow teammates. He has no idea because the man refuses to have friends.
He will not have a conversation with her.
Will not do it. Or his teammates, apparently, unless they're talking footballs. He won't speak.
Riddle me this.
Yes, tell me everything.
Aiden Graves.
Yeah.
Did you believe him to be a white man at the beginning of this book when he was first described?
It was just the cover.
Oh, I never looked at the cover. That's what it is.
I'm pretty sure his hand in the cover is white.
Okay.
And so
I never looked at it that closely. So I believed this man to be a black man or The Rock. I was kind of imagining The Rock until roughly 75% into this book where it was his pale skin. And I was like, no,
what kind of pale?
No. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. How dare you?
Pale brown? Is that what you mean?
How dare you do this to me? I already have this man formed in my head. I was okay with it. I was okay with the image I had. I liked my image. And it upset me so much. I definitely was imagining The Rock all the way through this. I think also because right around the time I started reading this one, The Rock was hitting those gym videos very hard on his Instagram. So I was kind of making that connection. Don't hate it. If you do not follow The Rock, you're doing it wrong. And also his wife, whose name I don't know, but you should follow her as well because she posts a lot of The Rock doing cute stuff with kids. So if you're like Melody and you like watching The Rock holding a teeny tiny baby, singing a Pacific Islander lullaby in a different language to a teeny tiny
I'm getting chills right
baby. Now. Yeah, you want to see that. Anyway, back to Aiden. Okay, so this opens up. She wants to quit her job. She does quit her job. Fair?
Yeah, she says, I'm quitting, but I'm gonna give you however long you need. She doesn't say I'm giving 2 weeks notice. Yeah, right. She's like, I'm gonna train the replacement too. So have your manager find a replacement. I will train them. It's going to be great. And he's like, okay, well, tell Trevor because Trevor is the manager. And she's like, Herm.
He didn't even give a shit.
No,
she was quitting.
He didn't say a word. He didn't ask why. He didn't ask if she had something else lined up. He didn't ask if she needed an incentive to stay. He didn't ask any questions at all. He literally just said, let Trevor know. And then kept shoveling quinoa into his face. So, chapter 2, she tells Trevor.
Yeah. Trevor's a grade A asshole. Period.
Trevor
the end. He's just an asshole. He's like, how dare you do this to us? And she's like, I'm doing a pretty nice thing by not, just leaving right away. But whatever. Yeah.
Here's the double-edged sword of this book for me. On the one hand, I liked that all of the conversations felt real. On the other hand, I don't usually need my conversations to feel super real in fiction. I just need you to get to the point and get out. That's what I need. And the amount of times that she and Trevor went round and round in this one conversation over 5 pages, I was just like, how are we still quitting? How is this happening? So anyway, they all felt like real people, I guess is what I'm saying.
Everybody did feel like a real person except for Aiden, honestly.
Right. Yes.
So then she has a conversation with her BFF, Diana. We find out that her and Diana grew up together in El Paso. They're currently in Dallas. The team name is the Dallas 300s. Don't know why. Don't care.
Do you think it's the Greek 300s?
I thought it was maybe the Greek
oiled
300?
Up abs that they were going
God,
for?
I just hated that movie so fucking much that I can't even. I can't. It was like a 15-year-old boy was like, I'm going to make a movie and it's going to be and had no idea that what the reason I say, okay, it's maybe like a 12-year-old boy was like, I'm going to do a movie. And it's going to be all super jacked guys, all oiled up, all fighting a battle. And 13-year-old boy doesn't understand that that's homoerotic. It just seems cool to him, right? Like, you know? Yes. And then, like, at some point, there's going to be a goat smoking. What? And then it's like, the sex scenes was like in and out. So it was like, and then he does her this way. And then he does her that way. Like, I just felt like it was a child being like, you guys, bros, this is great, right? Like, I hate that movie.
This is all the things the dude bros do, dudes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm still into it.
So she grew up with Diana in El Paso. She grew up in a real shitty situation with a mom that was addicted to drugs. Her and her little brother.
And she's an alcoholic. But yes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Specifically an alcoholic.
Yes.
Her and her little brother were okay, but her two older sisters, she believed, had fetal alcohol. Three older sisters had probably fetal alcohol syndrome, making them a little more aggressive and difficult to deal with emotions.
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
And they obviously had more time in the really, really toxic environment of living with a not even really functioning alcoholic. And so I think quite a lot of them were acting out because they had no support of their own. Like they had, so especially her sister Susie was super, super abusive. We find out a bunch of that later on, but essentially she doesn't go home. She and her brother were actually in a foster home from the age of like 12, I think, to around 18 or 16.
Yeah,
something like that.
She went to the foster home and then at some point she came back, which is, I think, a lot more typical than, know for a fact, a lot more typical than these books we read that are just like, and then I was in the foster care system because I was an orphan forever. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I think it's far more typical that you're in and out and in and out and you keep going back to your parents.
One of the foundational pillars of our foster care system is to attempt to keep the family together.
Yep.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes too much.
Yeah, and it's pretty unstable because, they go back and then they leave again. I used to work in abuse and neglect court for a little bit, and it seemed like you go back a lot and then you get taken away again a lot. Yeah. So it seemed like a pretty typical foster care experience, a pretty realistic foster care experience. And those characters, her sisters, her mom, her little brother, seemed pretty realistic as well.
Yeah.
So
totally.
She had this best friend down the street, Diana, who she would go over to her house a lot. So these two are kind of inseparable. And she's a great side character, Diana.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
She's a hairdresser, and so she says, well, when you're finally out of there, let me know, and I'll dye your hair all the crazy colors we've been talking about for all these years, and it's really exciting. We get a lot of crazy colors, and it's awesome. Okay. Yes. So then the next thing that happens is she and Aiden talk about what he needs for the next day, and then he's like, you have to come to my gym because I'm going to be working out, and I need you to bring me my lunch. And she's like, okay, so I'll also breakfast and lunch or something like that. And then I'll also like take pictures of you or whatever. So she goes to the gym the next morning. She has to get up way super earlier than usual to make this happen. I think she gets a flat and I think it's a device just to show how seedy her apartment building is.
Sure.
Because she has been scrimping and saving. And so she can afford a nicer place, but this is workable for her. So she's living in a pretty dangerous area, I guess.
Right. And she's scrimping and saving for student loans.
Student loans, and she wanted to build up her savings to have a nest egg to fall back on. Right.
Because
she's a smart cookie. Mm-hmm. So she shows up at the gym. She's taking all the pictures. She's doing all the things. He does not acknowledge her presence at all. And then Christian Delgado. I think he might be a running back. He is on the offense or something.
What is a running back? I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. He sidles up to her. He starts chatting her up. She's really uncomfortable, but she also doesn't want to show that she's uncomfortable.
Right.
And she doesn't explain why. And then the first thing that he says to her is, you can go now. I think he says, did you bring my breakfast?
Yeah. This is Aiden. He looks over at her and Christian talking in the gym and says, you can leave now.
Yeah.
And she kind of gives him a the fuck sort of look. And he's like, I'm not paying you to sit around and talk. So if you're going to do that, you can go.
Yeah.
That's the most words our hero has said at this point. And I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm not super charmed.
Yeah, no.
Not super charmed.
So then we meet Zach, the roommate. Oh, sorry.
Wait, sorry. This was the other thing about the first 3 chapters or so that drove me nuts, is that she was just constantly crying wolf to me. Because after this thing, she was like, oh, he doesn't talk to me like that. No fucking way does he talk to me like that. How dare he? I am so done. I am so done. And I was like, oh, she's quitting now. Okay.
No.
She was not so done. I guess she was just emotionally done, ? But there was no difference in phrasing to denote that it was just her being done in the moment instead of actually walking out on him.
Right.
So I was like, oh, she's quitting. No, she's not. Oh, no, she is. No, she's not. And it was several different interactions that happened where I was like, what is happening? Are you quitting or are you a doormat?
Well, it seemed like these chapters were to build up what a complete asshole he is to her all the time. And a lot of time was spent building up what an indifferent asshole he was to her. And I felt that this book spent very little time building up what a nice guy he was to her.
Yes.
A lot more effort was put into, guys, he's hot, but we don't like him yet.
Right.
Than, guys, he's hot and we love him now, you know?
Yes.
That's how
totally.
I felt. But, okay, the hot guy we do love is Zach.
Zach. Oh, he's a Texan and he's a quarterback, which I do know what that is.
He throws the ball to the other ones.
Does. He calls some plays and stuff.
Didn't know that part.
Well, he doesn't all. Yeah,
is he the one that says all the numbers? Does he do the numbers?
Yeah.
55 Alpha Bravo.
87 Hut.
Yeah. Yeah, that's him.
That's the one.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
We meet him. She tells him that she quit, or at least she warned them that she quit because she didn't actually. She's still doing her job. And it was weeks ago. She says the literal word weeks that she is that Trevor has not followed up, which I also don't understand.
And Zach has this reaction oh no, which is fine. But I thought in the moment that I thought that Trevor and Zach and all these people were having this kind of oh no reaction because maybe Aiden had been secretly in love with her forever or something like that. There are kind of weird cagey reactions, maybe be oh, he's going to be secretly in love with her and that's why he's kind of mean to her and I love it. But then that ended up not super being the case.
No, except that it did kind of.
Kind of, but not at this point.
No, not at all.
Not now. It's later on that he falls in love with her. And I'm why make this caginess pay off? I don't know. Do you think he was in love with her at this point?
No, I don't think he was in love with her. I think, actually, we find out exactly how he feels. This is a hero that I really think you always know exactly what he's thinking. It's just that you don't really know what to make of it. And
you wish it were different.
Yeah. Yeah. So Zach is oh, wow, I'm really proud of you. And I'm how'd the big guy take it? And she was she told me to tell Trevor. That's it. That's all that happened.
Yeah.
And he's really taken aback by that. But again, he's really proud of her. And they're rubbing shoulders and being adorable.
Yeah, they're great. I'm get with Zach.
Yeah. She's you got to still text me. And he's like, wild horses couldn't stop me, girl. And, it's really cute. So then Trevor comes. Oh, no, he has a radio interview. So she takes him to a radio interview.
He's a dick to her there. Moment. Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Huge dick.
He asks for water, and then it takes her a minute to go find water. And he's did you go all the way to Fiji to get this water? It's Jesus. So anyway, so then Trevor comes over.
Yeah, and they have a different kind of interview at his house. And she goes upstairs to chat with Zach or get something. Oh, no, she takes Zach some food.
Because Zach doesn't want to come downstairs because he's afraid of Trevor. And Trevor, because he's his manager too. And he's sneak me a sandwich. Trevor doesn't know I'm here.
Yeah, he doesn't want to deal with this asshole. So they're standing in the hallway upstairs. And it's sort of a lofted hallway. So they can hear everything that's happening from below. Aiden comes over to Trevor and he's do you know where Vanessa is? Have you seen her? And Trevor's response is, it's not my job to keep track of your dinner roll.
Have you ever even heard anyone called a dinner roll in a disparaging way?
But I would be just as pissed as she is.
Oh, me too. But it's just like, I've never even heard that. Like,
yeah, no, neither have I. But I think it's like Trevor's semi-professional way of being the biggest douche nozzle that's ever happened.
Uh-huh.
So she is understandably like waiting for Aiden to be like, hey, man, that's not cool. Because in no circumstance is that cool, no matter what, no matter who you're talking about.
Right.
And Aiden just like stays silent. And then Trevor keeps going and he's like, so I've been looking for her replacement. And like, what if I got you like one that's kind of easier on the eyes?
You know, yeah. Unlike this one, the ugly one. Ugh.
Yeah. And Aiden's like, sure, man, just I know you're sure, like whatever. And this also didn't quite track for me from Trevor's perspective because we find out way later that Trevor had been trying to fire her and get someone new. And Aiden was like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. She's fine. Like, just leave her.
Right.
And then way later, we find out that Trevor thinks that the reason that, like, when he signed on with Aiden, he was like, Aiden, 2 things. 1, condoms always. 2, prenup, no matter what. So it doesn't actually make sense to me that he would want to put Aiden in a situation where he would be theoretically more tempted to fuck his assistant than he is now.
Well, I mean, if he uses condoms, I don't think anybody cares. Honestly, if I'm Trevor and I'm the manager for Aiden Graves and Zach, I don't remember Zach's name, I'm a little concerned about Zach sleeping around, but I kind of wish Aiden would go fuck somebody at this point. Because we learned that, like, Aiden's completely celibate because he's so concentrated on his career. And I know we've talked about Aiden possibly being on the spectrum and being, you know, part of his whole thing. But also, if I'm a Trevor, I think maybe Aiden just needs to go fuck it out a little bit. Like, maybe Aiden needs to loosen up. Like, Aiden needs to go have a little bit of fun, and maybe he won't be like this all the time because he is so wound tight. I'm not saying in any capacity people who are wound, like, I don't want the suggestion to be if somebody's very devoted to their career, they just need to fuck a little and that'll like But I think that's something Trevor might think.
That does actually track for Trevor. Yes. Okay. So anyway, she, at that point, is just like, well, Zach is seething next to her. Zach is like, I'm going to go punch a motherfucker. And she's like, Zach, go back to your room. It's fine. We're done.
Yeah.
And then she once again says the words, I'm done.
But she is done.
Actually do it. Yeah.
Now she's done.
But what I'm saying is I've heard this 17 times. And it has not been the case yet. So I don't know what is different about now.
It's a slow burn of quitting a job.
So then she's leaving and Trevor's like, hey, go get me some food. And she's like, no, I'm not your fucking dinner roll anymore. And he's like, herm. And then she flips off Aiden.
Because Aiden's in the interview at this point. So she can't be like, hey, Aiden, it's over. So she gives him the finger and then mouths, what is it?
I deserve better. Which, dig it. Dig it, girl.
But that's a hard thing to mouth. I don't know if that's going to come across. I think like a fuck you would, but like I deserve better. Deserve is a hard one to.
It is.
I don't know. We'll see if anyway.
I mean, I think he got the point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, from the finger part probably.
Yeah, and it was totally cathartic for her, so I'm into it. So now 5 weeks go by.
Right.
We watch her do a lot of graphic design, and she has started running again because she has time to do that now.
She has an injured knee, but she's trying to make it stronger. Okay.
Yes. So she's coming back from a run, and Aiden is on her steps of her apartment building. And she's like, what the fuck?
She's like, how do you even know where I live? Because I didn't even know he knew where I lived.
Yeah. They didn't know that she had a cell phone other than her work cell phone.
Yeah.
And the address that she listed was a previous address that she had moved out of. So they should not know where she lives. So he's like, I want you to come back. And she's like, not in a million years. Like, there's no fucking way. She does invite him into her house because there are other people about and she doesn't want to do that. Like, she doesn't want people to know that she knows him. And so
She's wearing also like a sexy dress, and she has a new hair color, and she's lost a little bit of weight. Yeah, she's coming back from like a date. Well, she's wearing like a V-neck shirt or something just like a little bit sexier than
There are two
normal.
times that she comes back. Once is after a run. Once is because they have the same conversation twice.
Maybe. Okay, so her hair is definitely a different color. Maybe it was like her short shorts or something like that. But both times she's like wearing something that would be skimpier than what she'd wear at work. And both times it seems like Aiden kind of notices that, but it's not like written in a hot... It's not written in a way that it's like his eyes raked over my blah, 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 and I felt myself blush. It's just like he kind of looked at my shorts.
Right.
Like, no.
Like he looked in the vicinity of my collarbones.
Right, exactly. And I'm just like, and noticed that I was wearing different clothes than what I usually wear at work. I'm like, no,
Right.
get a little hot. Feel the pressure building in your shmushmas. Like that's it's a romance novel. you were in a romance novel.
God damn it.
Anyway.
So basically over these next two conversations, he's like, you need to come back. And she's like, no. And she finds out that one of the reasons he was more stressed than usual is because he got papers from immigration saying that his green card was going to expire and that his visa is going to expire and he needs to apply for a new one. He's currently on a work visa. He's also in a weird place because he might not sign back on with the 300s.
Oh, yeah, because he's Canadian.
He is Canadian.
Winnipeg.
Right. So then she's like, well, you could always just fucking marry someone. Like, that's a thing you could do. That's an easy thing for you to do. There's like millions of women out there who would marry you tomorrow.
Right.
And he's like, it gets quiet. And she's like, looks like the gears are turning. And I don't think I like that.
Nope.
And then he's like, marry me in the gruffest voice in the world. And she's like, what? No, that's insane. And he's like, nope, marry me. It's perfect. And she's like, I've seen that look in his eye before. He's like a dog with a bone.
And this is conversation number 2, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He comes back.
He comes back and he says, I'm just going to read this part. We need to talk because I want people who haven't read this book to understand what I'm saying when it's like kind of sexy, but then not at all. We need to talk, he stated immediately, his eyes scraping their way to my chest and catching on the low dip of the cotton sundress right between my breasts. And then all she says is, huh. I gave him a side look as I approached my door, blah, 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 blah. So there's no, like, she has no feelings about this. He has no feelings about this. It's not like his lips parted and then their eyes met and there was a moment of tension or, these things we're expecting to read. None of that until
happens.
Page 430. So there isn't even this, like, tension building between them. So that's our kind of slow burn complaint.
Right.
It wasn't burning.
Yes. So by the end of this conversation, she's like, still no, like never, it's not going to happen. And he leaves. So then I think he just comes back again.
Yeah, he comes back multiple times and is just like insistent. Yeah. Marry me, marry me, marry me. Which I don't know. How do you feel about that? I don't know how I felt about it.
I didn't have any feelings about it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because I think it was just like, he looked at my boobs and, if she had been, I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Well, and we also never ever get his perspective.
Right.
Like
that's true.
It's an only her perspective book.
This book, I think, would have benefited from his perspective.
Maybe. I don't know.
It would have benefited from one of them being in love with the other one the whole time. I don't care which one. It would have benefited from that.
You know what? No, I actually did like that they weren't in love the whole time.
Really?
I liked that it happened. I did like that part of the slow burn. I just wish that one or both of them really seriously wanted to fuck the other one the whole time. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, something.
I don't care about the emotion. The emotion can absolutely build, but I wanted some indication that they are matched biologically. That's all.
Burning. I need a burning. I need a simmer burn.
Yes.
Like Water for Chocolate. Sorry, does anyone did you read that book in school?
No, I didn't.
Con agua para chocolate.
Oh,
so no. It's a romance. It's a Spanish romance that I think a lot of people have read, and it's a movie as well. But the title of it is a phrase in, I think, Mexico, like water for chocolate, because when you make chocolate, the water has to be just at a boil, but not quite boiling when you like put it in or add the ingredients or something. And that's what the title comes from, is that's what she was the whole time in the book, was she was like water for chocolate. That's what I wanted this to be.
That's a nice image.
Yeah, I think most of our listeners have probably read that book.
Probably. Well, I'm a...
You weren't a Spanish literature major in college. So.
Fair. So basically, what it boils down to is he says, you marry me, I'll pay off your student loans, and I'll buy you a house.
Right.
And she's
then
like,
she can't refuse. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, because the girl is buried under $150K worth of student loans. And she has not even like barely scraped the surface of this. She's like, let me think about it, basically. But let's cut to the chase. She says yes. And he's like, well, we're going to have to live together. Yeah. And we're going to have to do, and
we'll have to be married for a good amount of time.
5 years. Yeah. We'll have to be married for 5 years. And he says that he will not start a relationship during that time, and she cannot either. Right. Now, this seemed cool until I found out that this guy has been celibate since like 17 years old.
High school? Yeah. Right.
He has been so focused on his career that he has had no relationship, no hookups,
and
no
here I
nothing.
Was calling bullshit on Bachelor Colton. Sorry, international listeners, but American Bachelor Colton, the virgin professional football player, I was like, he's like, oh, I've been so concentrated on football, I couldn't concentrate on girls. And I'm like, then you're doing professional football wrong, I think. But apparently it's a thing. I don't know. So
maybe I just call bullshit because I think that Colton is definitely in the really antiquated camp where virginity equals penis and vagina. Like, I do not believe the motherfucker has never gotten a
I don't know.
BJ.
He mentioned in Paradise that he's never seen a vagina. Did you hear that? Did you know?
I'm not saying no.
Somebody called him a pussy, and he's like, "How can you call me a pussy when I've never seen a pussy?" And I was like, "Whoa,
no! You're getting that wrong. That was on the reunion show,
sure,
and it was the guy who smells like everything. He was like." The cologne guy. Sorry.
The cologne guy.
Yeah. Somehow the cologne guy turned into the guy who smells like everything. I don't know how my brain works sometimes.
The colognosaur. Yes.
That's the one. He was like, you act like a pussy even though you've never even seen one or fucked one. I think what he said was you haven't even fucked one.
Colton said something about not having ever seen a pussy. No. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, all I'm saying is I also believe that Colton would not reciprocate. I do not believe he's never accepted a blowjob. I'm sorry.
Anyway, I'm sorry. We're moving on. Sorry, we continue to talk about the American Bachelor on the show,
sorry,
which is
guys.
not fair. Most of you have not seen it. Hey, Blair, one of you has seen it.
Yeah.
Like
hi.
Two.
Hey, go hey.
Hi. Okay. So eventually she agrees. But
yes.
A lot of this conversation goes really long, and she says during it, you don't know me. So like the idea that you're inviting me into your house, that you're going to get married to me, like maybe this thing blows up because even though I've worked for you for 2 years, you have no idea
about me,
who I am. And he says in his like flat, rumbly, sexy voice, but she doesn't describe it as sexy, but I have been listening to it as sexy because I need it.
Has to be
because I'm reading a romance novel.
Right.
He says, oh, I know you.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, ooh. So maybe he does know everything about her, and he's been picking up these little like clues about her, and she just thinks that he doesn't know her, but really he knows her favorite color, and he knows the blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, like the guy in the, what was the workplace one that we read that we liked so much? Josh.
The Hating Game.
The Hating Game. Yeah. Like that guy. Like he knew everything about her the whole time and how touching. Nope. He knows fuck or shit about this girl. He knows nothing. And at the end, he has this monologue of like, I know all these things about you. I know this. I know that. Like a Harry Met Sally sort of thing.
But this is actually 6 months after they've been living together.
Yeah, they're things he's picked up after he's been married to her for like a year. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. Okay.
So,
all right, moving on.
So she doesn't hear from him for a while. And she's like, oh, I guess he changed his mind. Okay, that's fine. I was really looking forward to those loans getting paid off, but whatever. So then he shows up at her house again.
There's a lot of those kind of chapters in between. Okay, so
he shows back up at her house, and he's like, yo, I thought you were moving in. And she's like, well, what? Like, yes, but also we haven't spoken since our last conversation. And he's like, okay, well, I think you should move in this weekend. It should only take a couple of trips, right? And she's like, yeah. And he looks around and he's like, do you want to keep this really fucked up furniture? He doesn't say that, but that's what he's thinking.
And he gets pissed that she lives in such a shitty place too. We kind of didn't cover that. He's like, do I not pay you enough? Like, I didn't realize you lived in like this horrible like drug den. And she's like, well, I'm saving. So he goes over there and helps her move. Yeah,
he shows up. They say that it's going to happen on like a Friday. Mm-hmm. He shows up and she's like not even dressed yet. And she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, we decided you were moving.
Help you move.
Right.
Aiden, help Vanessa move.
And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. So they move out of her house. They give away all her shit.
All her neighbors see him and are like, what? Celebrity football player didn't know this was going on. That was nice. I imagined him carrying furniture kind of like Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. You know how he lifts all the couches and stuff in the song?
Know. And how does he do that without eating 3 dozen eggs? I don't
know. He just eats quinoa. That's all he eats, you guys.
I know.
Quinoas and apples.
Probably some edamames, too.
Sure.
So anyway, we never see an edamame, though. Okay.
No.
So when they arrive at the house, he's got her set up in the guest room, and she's so excited because he's like specially bought her furniture and a really nice bed.
It actually is
super
nice.
Fucking sweet. Oh, while they're in her room, he notices that she has no less than 4 night lights. Looks around and then doesn't comment and leaves. Okay.
Also, she makes very clear when she moves in, I'm not going to be your assistant anymore. Like, this isn't a way to backdoor because you're not paying me to be your assistant.
Because that's what he wanted. Yeah. That's definitely what he wanted at the beginning. Mm-hmm. We're going to be assistant, except with this contract that binds us together.
Right.
And she's like, no, I'm still doing my graphic designness. I'm still doing all the things, which I loved. Loved that about her. And she never goes back on it except for the cooking a little bit. But that's okay. People cohabitate and they cook for one another.
That's fine. He doesn't cook for her, but...
No, of course he... What? How could he? How could he do that? He doesn't know what a spatula is.
I'm sorry. Women cohabitate with men, and sometimes then the women cook for the men. That's the thesis of this one.
So, well, and then I never really understand how he lives without a Vanessa 2.0 because
frozen
he was so
vegan
dependent
meals.
upon. But who's changing his sheets? Who's doing his laundry, Erin?
I don't know.
We never find out. I think he might learn, but we don't know. Oh, so then they go to Vegas.
Yeah. Then it's Vegas time.
They fly first class to Vegas and they get married in a little chapelsies. Mm-hmm. And then, here's the other thing I would have liked. I would have liked a kiss that wasn't completely unbearable for both of them.
You know, like the Duchess deal? You know? Wait, is that the right one? What was the Tessa Dare one with the guy who had the burns?
Yes, Duchess deal.
That one where they were getting married out of convenience.
And then the kiss is unexpectedly hot.
Yeah. That is a slow burn.
That is a
slow burn.
But burning. No, they sort of like peck, and then she literally jumps back 3 feet, and then they have to awkwardly take photos. Nothing happens in her nether regions.
I mean, I shouldn't say, like, it isn't completely devoid of, like, she talks about his lips were more softer than she thought they would be. I mean, there's some stuff, but there's no, like, heating up in the pit of her stomach and the knees being weak. There's none of that. There's no. It's not sexual at all. It's
Nothing's happening in her clitoris.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just like, slightly more. It's slightly more pleasant than she thought it would be. That's all.
Right.
There's no burning.
But then they go back to the house. So they go back to the hotel. And she is like, I'm going to go. He's like, I'm going to take a nap because
I imagine he just walked into this hotel room, went flat face on the bed, and then just fell asleep. Because she says he's like laying face down on the bed in all of his clothes. So I'm just like, did he just pass out? Anyway.
I think he did, yeah. And then she's like, I'm going to go out on the town and I'm going to see Cirque de Lune, which I really liked. I really liked that a lot. I don't know why. And
she left him a note, right?
Yes. And he calls her and he's like, where are you? What's going on? And she's like, I'm going to go see Cirque du Loon. And he's like,
if you guys could only see Melody saying Cirque du Loon.
So then he meets up with her and it's really sweet because he says there's a whole section right after they get married about what?
I'm sorry. We missed when they were at the airport and the coffee, the poor coffee barista.
So cute.
No. How dare.
I am so rude. What?
No, he is so rude. That's the problem. They're at the airport and this barista goes gaga over like who he is or whatever, which is fine. I understand like he gets that a lot. He can't, whatever. But this guy's just kind of like staring and his hands are shaking. He can't get the coffee and stuff. And then Aiden's just like, you gonna get coffee for my girl or what?
And I'm just
cute. Like, a little bit cute because he called her his girl.
Yes. And that is the one breadcrumb I have gotten thus far. Okay? I overlooked the innocent bystander. I'm sorry.
She didn't like it. She didn't get butterflies in her stomach or anything. She was just like, his girl? What is he? But I just felt like he was so rude to that poor barista who was just so flustered.
Was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So after they get married.
So he shows up and he's like, because he, in this build up and in this whole thing, one part of her, like, you don't know me is we're not friends. I tried to be your friend for a really, really long time. And I learned that you have no interest in that. And he's like, okay, well, all right. So we're going to get married. You're not going to be my assistant anymore. And I'm going to try really hard to be your friend. And she's understandably like, thanks. Like, you shouldn't have to try super hard. Because in these conversations, he's been like, no, Vanessa, you don't understand. I like you as much as I like anyone. And that is the warmest he can get.
Yes.
That is his warmest setting right now, is I like you as much as I like anyone. And in those conversations, that, like, legitimately sends her into hysterics, like laughing, because she's just like, not only is that not a compliment, but it also still makes me feel warm and fuzzy, which shows the level of absolute desperation I have been at for his affection up until this point.
Yes.
So anyway, so they're having this conversation because she's been like, hey, I made a vow. I'm not going to disappear on you, whatever. And when he shows up, because she's like, you could have slept. I know that you're tired. And he's like, no, I promised you I was going to try to be your friend. And friends don't let friends just randomly walk around the Vegas Strip when they're tiny and female and unprotected. She's like, oh, okay.
It was kind of sweet. It was more sweet than it was controlling, I felt.
Me too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So they have a lovely night together. They go back to the hotel at like 2 a.m, which is unheard of because he goes to bed between like 8:30 and 9 every night. And then they go back to Texas. And then it fast forwards like a week, I think.
Yeah. So she goes for a run when they get back. He goes for a run with her. He's got like kind of a hurt Achilles that he's been nursing. That's been an issue.
Yeah.
So she knows that he's not supposed to be running, but he still goes on a run with her, which is, nice. The thing is, like, he's doing nice stuff. It's just,
especially since he's like, the one thing he cares about is football.
Right.
This is something that goes completely against football, but is a Vanessa thing. So that's nice. He's also only, oh my God, it's so cute. He's only surviving on vegan frozen pizzas.
Yes.
And it's adorable.
And so many of them because he's 1,000,000 feet tall and wide.
Yeah. And I don't know where are you getting your protein with vegan pizza? Where is it, my friend? Anyway, he goes on this run with her. And then a week later or so, because this book does a lot of skipping, she comes down into the kitchen. She finds him in the breakfast nook, icing his knee. And she's like, whoa, this is weird and not okay because you have trainers who should be taking care of this.
Oh.
If you are at home icing your knee, you are in pain. And then not only that, but he also accepts over-the-counter pain meds, which he does not do. And so she's like, she's like, DEFCON most extreme. I don't know which one it is.
DEFCON most extreme.
I know. I always think it's 5, but I think it's actually 1. I don't know.
It's fine. You're good. So here I have a segment. Bing boong bong.
Oh, bing boong bong.
This segment is called Anti-Inflammatories with Erin.
Oh, okay.
This author writes up like him refusing pain meds is like a manly thing, or maybe like a homeopathic thing. Like he doesn't want foreign bodies in his, something like that
in his body.
But if you've got an injury, you need to continue to take anti-inflammatories so that injury does not get worse. And you would think that Aiden would know that common sense wise, because she keeps saying that he's refusing ibuprofen. It's like, well, no, he needs to take, like, I understand if it's just specifically a painkiller and he's like, no, I need to know what the pain is so that I can understand what the pain. I got that, but he needs an anti-inflammatory. And when she sees him icing his knee, she's like, oh, that's weird because he will never like ice his knee, even if it's in extreme pain. And it's like, that's not what icing is for. Like, I found that to be a very unbelievable character trait, because he seemed to be obsessed with his body and taking care of it. So the idea that he would just refuse things to be manly is super weird to me, because he would need to take care of those injuries. Same thing with, like, he eventually needs crutches, and he's like, crutches. And I'm like, no, you super need those crutches. Like, somebody in his position would use those crutches. I don't know how
he's not just in a jazzy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like an extra large one.
Sure. Right. Maybe I could understand him not wanting to, in public, look like he needed crutches or a cane or whatever it is, because then it affects the perception of him being a football and how
sports journalism
of fantasy time.
All those.
You guys, my fantasy league. Can I just tell you, I'm at work on a fantasy league.
Fantasy league?
Every year. Yeah.
Why?
I do, because I usually do pretty well. I do the draft based on funniness of name, like name that makes me giggle a little bit. And I've gotten some good guys just based on what I perceive to be funny names. This year I'm not doing this year that draft strategy has not worked as well for me. Last year I got a guy named Jaquiz. I thought that was a hilarious first name. He turned out to be, I followed him on Instagram. That was not a bad idea. Jaquiz did great for me. That's not how he pronounces his name. I don't remember how he pronounces his name. It's not Jaquiz. If you sound it out as Jaquiz, but it's like Jaquiz maybe or something.
Yeah,
like that.
probably
Anyway,
Jaquiz.
yeah, that sounds right. There was a guy named Golden. I'm like, that's a great name. I don't mean to say it's like hilarious names. I'm just saying like weird names. That's what I pick. Football players and Congress people have the weirdest names. I will always say, like, you know. Anyway, so the guy that I was like hanging my hat on this year was a tight end named Jake Butt.
I would hang my hat on him too.
Jake Butt, you're going all the way. You're the tightest end. And man, if he didn't get kicked off the team in the second week, and I'm just like, no, Jake Butt, you were the best name I had. And then I have another guy named Willie Sneed. And he's fucking awful too. They're all awful. I'm like, no. Anyways. Oh, and I got a guy named OJ, which I was excited about, because I was like,
I hope he's less stabby than the last one.
The juice is back. But he's also bad at football, so
stick.
Yeah, I'm losing bad. Anyway, okay.
Anyway.
Book.
She's like, you should go back to the aromatherapist. No, the acupuncturist who helped with your shoulder last year. And he's like, not a terrible notion. So she ends up driving him, and it's nice. They get there. He goes in. When he comes back out, he's settling up, and the lady is flirting with him in really obvious ways. And she's like, oh, well, if you want to go have a seat, I will have your assistant take care of the rest. And he says, oh, that's my wife. Muffin, could you take care of this? And she's like, first of all, we told each other we were going to keep this on the DL. We're not going to tell people as soon as possible, which also, like, if you are committing marriage fraud.
Right.
That is not the correct way to go about it.
No. Mm-mm.
You shout it from the rooftops. You have a big wedding. You take a lot of photos. You make it look as real as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Public displays of affection are a good idea.
And then after this, that's when like the news kind of breaks and gets out to the gossip magazines. I was thinking we were going to get a great subplot here of like the gossip magazines, the people commenting on his social media, all that kind of thing, being like, her? Because I mean, Trevor, she says she's a little bit thicker. Trevor called her the dinner roll. Like, I know she has crazy hair colors. Like, I assume
she wears glasses. She wears purple
she has
glasses.
I assume she's not the prototype, like, supermodel woman
wife
that the football wives go for. So I thought there was going to be a bunch of uproar because we know he's like this big sex symbol of people being like, this chick, she's super fat and ugly. Not that that's appropriate. It's just what happens out in the world on the internet.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen to her, which I found to be like extremely weird. I just assumed she was going to have this horrible backlash that was going to be like
I also
awful.
Expected that because there was so much planting about her running his social media and the way that his fans interacted with him on social media, but there was none
of that. I thought she was going to get death threats and all kinds of stuff. Like, I kind of thought that's where this was going as far as he was going to have to, like, build her back up again and that kind of thing.
Especially because he has so many protector tendencies. I was thinking maybe it would bring them together more because he felt responsible for her.
Me too. And she would get, like, mobbed leaving the house and the press and the like, that's where I thought this was going. Nope, no one gives a shit. No one cares.
Nobody cares. Yeah.
No one cares.
It is really interesting. Or at least not that we know of. And she does talk about checking in because she thinks he doesn't have an assistant. And that's how she finds out that somebody is answering his emails and doing his social media. Mm-hmm. It's just that nobody's doing all the personal stuff for him. Right. Anyway, they're in the car and she's like, hey, you want to tell me what that was about? And he's like, you know how much I hate shameless flirts. And you are my wife. And she's like, muffin? And he goes, well, I thought dinner roll was going to be too soon. She goes, yeah, too soon.
Still too soon.
Too soon.
Cute.
It was really funny. So then a couple of weeks after his sprain fully heals, we find out that Aiden has a habit of going up into his room and spending hours doing who knows what, as she puts it. And I did not hate that. I feel like we could have been a little bit more Sherlock Holmes about it, but that's okay. And then this is where we find out that Zach has gotten cut from the team.
Ugh,
because football is one of the only sports where they have absolutely no job security whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. But what was weird about this is she a couple of times asked Zach if he's okay with money. Hey, freelance graphic designer Vanessa.
Right.
Zach's okay with money. He's a quarterback on a football professional thing. He's okay. But still, she's like, can I buy you dinner? Are you okay? You lost your job. I'm like, bitch,
I know.
He should buy you dinner forever.
I know.
That's not... Okay, so then another thing that happens here around here is there's kind of like a domestic violence subplot with Diana that's not super important. Nothing ever really comes of it. But...
So, so then the next thing that happens really is that she asked him to go to El Paso with her.
Right.
She's going to go to El Paso for her mom's birthday. She's never brought anybody home. She's a little bit nervous about it because of her family history. And also, Diana has told her that her sister Susie has been seen about town.
In El Paso, yeah.
Yeah, which is like concernicus for her.
But she wants to introduce them to Aiden in person because she knows the gossip magazines are getting it. She doesn't want to be weird about it. So she wants to bring him back and say, this is my husband in person.
Right. And he's like, yeah, totally. Let's go. Buy the tickets, get the rental car, do all the things. And she was planning to drive there. So now she has a first class ticket.
Right.
And she's like, oh, okay.
And she was super surprised that he was okay going because it's his bye week.
And he's like automatically in. It was nuts. Yeah. So she gets everything together. She's decided to like make him lunch to make sure that he has something to eat after practice and everything. And then she's waiting and she's waiting and she's waiting. She's called him a couple of times. She's texted him a bunch. She finally gets a call when she's just about to like miss her flight. And he's like, hey, can't make it. Leslie's coming to town. Can't do it. Bye.
Mm-hmm. Leslie's his old coach.
Yes. Leslie's his coach from high school who got him into football. And so she's like, fuck, I hate this. I hate him. He always bails. He's such a flake. This is like it's her biggest pet peeve with people is flaking on them because it makes total sense for her background.
Yes.
She goes to El Paso and it turns out to be an absolute shit show. Her mom, although she is not an alcoholic anymore, is still a raging narcissist in a lot of ways. And Susie is staying at the house with her equally drug addicted and fucked up husband.
Right.
So these are all bad things. While she's there, they get into this altercation because Susie says that she wished that she had killed her. This is where we find out that Susie hit her with her car.
And that's why her knee's all fucked up.
Yeah. When Vanessa was like 18, she ran over her with her car. And she says she wished that she had like murdered her. They get into like basically almost fisticuffs. Her husband grabs Vanessa by the wrist so hard that it leaves like bruises for a couple of weeks, and she fucks off. So then when she gets home after this terrible weekend, Diana is dyeing her hair. And this is where Diana reaches over something and her shirt comes up and she sees bruises all over her abdomen.
Okay.
So she's like, Diana, what's going on? You're dating a guy that both your brother and I hate. Is he also hitting you? And Diana's like, nah, girl, like not at all. And it's obviously a lie.
Right.
So I also didn't really understand the narrative perspective at this point because we know that Vanessa has not told Diana that they're officially married. We know that she's been skirting around this.
Right. She told Diana that they were going to get married.
Yes.
But she didn't tell her when it happened.
Yeah, and she has not told her that they've officially pulled the trigger.
Right.
But then in this, as she's processing this narrative, she says, I just couldn't understand like where her brain was at or where we were supposed to think her brain was at or like where we were in the timeline at this point.
Sure.
Because she says, I was really upset that my best friend was lying to me. And it didn't even occur to me at the time that I was also lying to her by omission.
Sure.
And I was just like, where are we 5 years from now?
And why wouldn't she tell Diana?
Yeah.
Like that. What was weird was like she's already told her, I'm committing immigration fraud. Like this is going to happen any day now. Why not tell her that it did happen? Because Diana wasn't weird about it. She was like, yeah, do that. Yeah. Like she was very for it. So it didn't make sense to me that she didn't tell her. It would make sense to me that like she forgot to tell her. Like, remember when you had a baby and forgot to tell me? Like, do you remember that? Do you remember?
I still don't remember. I know that we even talked about it afterwards, and my Swiss cheese memory has erased it again.
Guys, Melody Carlisle.
I mean, I told you I was pregnant.
Yeah, Melody Carlisle texted me, we're on our way to the hospital. Baby being born right now. Baby is going to happen. And then, like, I waited, like, 2 days to be like, did that baby happen? And nothing. Got nothing back. And so I texted our mutual friend, Tanya, who, you know, of Knight in Shining Armor fame. And Tanya's like, yeah, she done had that baby, like, 2 days ago. And I was like, the fuck? I'm like, who did you hear from? And she's like, Melody. She texted me all these pictures of this baby. And then it turned out that Melody had composed a text message to me and not sent it in the most Melody possible way. But if that, and I was a little miffed, it's fine. We were fine.
Yeah.
But if that had been what happened, she just like forgot to tell Diana because it's like
I already did.
Yeah, I already told her we were going to get married. I don't know why it was important that I told her we did, you know, or I just forgot to tell her or whatever. That would have made more sense to me. The fact that she like intentionally didn't tell her is real weird, I thought. But
yeah, and also like, why aren't they smart about this? The smart thing to do would be to treat the best friend to a trip to Vegas. And put her in the photos.
Yeah, do the whole thing.
Like, you gotta do that. Otherwise, it looks super fucking fishy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway.
She comes home from El Paso. Okay, so she has that thing with Diana.
Yeah, so
but that was after. So when she first got home from the El Paso trip, she walks in.
No, she immediately goes to Diana's house.
She went to Diana's first?
Yeah. So she gets home from the airport and she's just like, I need my best friend because I have had the worst weekend of my fucking life, basically.
Okay.
Almost.
Okay.
Not really. Probably getting hit by her sister was the worst weekend of her fucking life. But
Sure.
neither here nor there. Am I right?
Right.
So then she immediately goes over there under the pretense of like, Diana's going to dye my hair, but really it's to reconnect and feel like she's back at home base.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, she's like extra pissed because all of this shit has just been piling up. First, Aiden ghosts her. Then her mom is super shitty and springs her abusive sister on her. Then there's the altercation. Now she finds out that Diana's in a secret abusive relationship.
And they kind of know what to do about that. It's kind of weird between them now because she's like kind of accused her of lying. So now she's like kind of lost her best friend for
a minute.
I mean,
like
she doesn't think it's like forever, but it's like they're in a weird place, right?
Yeah, and she understandably doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to alienate Diana. She also doesn't want to be an enabler in this situation. She's really worried. She's like thinking about how to go around her. Like,
it's weird having to tell your best friend that she's in an abusive relationship. You can probably relate Erin. To this.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Especially when she's deep in denial. Is that a weird place to be in, Melody?
No,
personally?
Yeah, it's really,
do you know how this is?
I maybe have dabbled there.
We can laugh these days. Okay,
we can.
She
can laugh when things are better.
Yes. She goes back to the house and she's like bringing up her bags. So the Leslie, the coach, is there. She likes Leslie. She wants to be polite to him. She wants to be nice to him. Mm-hmm. But like she's so upset from the weekend. She's upset with Aiden for bailing on her at the last minute. She's like
emotionally drained. She has no reserves left.
Right. So she just wants to go upstairs.
Yeah, and she's trying to turn her grimace into a smile and kind of can't. Mm-hmm. And Leslie can see it a little bit, but obviously, because he arrived unexpectedly. He was like, Aiden, I'm going to be in Texas. Can I come by? Mm-hmm. And Aiden, of course, dropped everything, including her. So I think Leslie has an inkling that that's what happened, but he doesn't have proof. And so he's being really nice to her. And she's just like, I just need to be alone. Mm-hmm. So she's on the steps. He and Leslie come over. And then Leslie's like, well, I'm going to go to the bathroom and then I'm going back to my hotel.
Yeah, she's give like, you guys some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Great. She starts heading back up the stairs. And Aiden's like, we talk now. Aiden, talk Vanessa.
Yeah, because he can tell she's pissed.
And so his whole thing is, I didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. Things changed.
Mm-hmm. I didn't lie to you about my intent to go. I did intend to go.
Right.
I just changed my mind.
Right.
And you know how important Leslie is. So I don't know what the problem is.
Right. I don't know why you're mad. And she's like, no, I can see all of those things. I understand all of those things.
Rationally.
Rationally. Those do not impact my level of emotional response.
Right.
And you can't expect them to.
And I need time to look at this rationally instead of emotionally.
And I need to cool off.
Yes.
And I need to go upstairs and I need some alone time. And he's like, no, but I need you to see that rationally you're being ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And he will not. This is when he just will not let it go. And she keeps on being like, Aiden, I need space. I need time. I need to leave this conversation right now.
Right.
And he will not allow it. So it finally gets to the point where he gets really frustrated and he says, if I had wanted to be nagged like this, I would have gotten myself a real wife. And she can't. She just can't.
Which, I mean, the way she's mad about this statement, though, is not the same way I would be mad about this statement, which is fine. It's fine with the character, but she's like, a real wife. It's almost like her response to it is like, I am a real wife. How dare you call me a fake wife? Where it's like, my response to that would have been like, if he told me if I wanted to be nagged like this, I would have got myself a real wife. It's like, well, if I wanted to be fucking abandoned and like flaked on like this, I would have got myself a real husband. Like either we're doing this or we're not doing this. If either you want to be friends or we're not. Right. But you can't like use that as an excuse.
Here's my other thing. I didn't understand this altercation because at no point was she nagging him.
Right.
In fact,
she was trying to get away.
She was actively trying to escape.
Yes.
When he called her on the phone, the only thing she asked was, "Are you okay?" After he bailed, and he was like, "What? Yeah, of course I am. Leslie's just coming to town, so like whatever."
Sure. Yep.
And she did not rail at him at all. She just was like, "Okay, well, I have to get to the airport," and hung up. Did not do that then. She has not been sending him text messages or hate mail. She has not been calling him incessantly.
Nope.
She's actively trying to leave this conversation. If anybody is the nag here, Aiden is the nag. Stop nagging me about how pissed off I am.
Right.
I'm just going to get more pissed at you.
Oh my God. And then she goes into her room and she's sad. And who comes to her room but Zach?
Zach.
And
the best
she's
kid
like,
ever.
He doesn't care about anybody but himself. And Zach's like, I know.
Yeah, darling.
Totally. That's totally true. And she's like, I didn't even beg him to go with me. She's like, this is all, him sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
he's
Zach's
the one
like,
that wanted to go. And he's like, yeah, Shug. Because he also has all of those adorable Southern nicknames.
He's got such a drawl. Yeah, Zach is bae. And it's just like, he's just very sweet to her. They agree. She's kind of training to run this marathon. He's like, I'll do a marathon with you. He's just so nice. And I'm team Zach at this point. Well, really at all points.
I know. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself,
are they going to do a switcheroo? Is that what's going to happen? We're going to do a switcheroo?
Is the title misleading?
Is that why everyone loves this book so much? Is like, it's a bait and switch? Because that would be interesting.
Or does Zach murder Aiden and wear his skin and take his place on the team and become the Wall of Winnipeg? Is that what happens? Do we have a face-off situation?
Would you be into that?
I don't know. Maybe. If written well, then probs. I just read a book this week that told me that the hero being adjacent to an attempted murder actually isn't a hard limit for me. So apparently good writing can get me every time.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, we proved that with a little ditty called The Red.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Aiden knocks on the door. She doesn't answer later in the night.
Yeah.
And that is the end of that fight. She said she continued right on watching Independence Day while he knocked on her door and he could take his real wife and shove it up his ass.
That's right.
Yep.
Shove her right up there. You boof that real wife. So...
Good work, Melody. Good job, Melody.
You. Sorry, that's a
Too
little
bad
bit
this won't come out
events.
for 3 weeks, though.
Yeah, that's me letting off some fucking steam about some current events.
Oh, man.
Okay. So, I think that's where we're going to leave off this week. Hey, guys, it is a 2-part episode.
Yep. Turned out to be a 2-parter.
Yeah, we were right. We know
Sorry
us
it wasn't sexy.
now.
Sorry this wasn't like a great episode. We're trying here. We're doing our best.
I think we did okay.
We're going to do better. We just didn't. All we had was quinoa and acupuncture to work with and footballs.
Yeah, and real some gruffery. There's lots of gruffery.
Yeah. We're trying.
Lots of crying wolf up until this point. Things do pay off, though. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
All right, Erin, I have a lady love. Here we go. I have one. I'll tell you it, kinda. I am a person who can commit to very little on a regular basis.
Uh-huh.
I'm learning why I'm going on this whole journey this year about why that is the way it is. It's not that I'm like a flaky person. It's just that, I don't know, maybe I'm a flaky person. I mean, I kind of...
Did you see the look I gave you? I tried to keep it inside, V.
Listen, you know what? You, madam, are an overcommitter. You can't tell anybody they're flaky.
I love you so much. I don't mean it as an insult, but a face came to my face, and I couldn't...
Well, okay, so just full disclosure, my counselor and I have been going on a journey because in one of our very first sessions together, I got a new counselor, and she was like, hey, has anybody talked to you about an ADHD diagnosis, either in your adulthood or in your childhood? And I was like, no. And she was like, why don't you go home? Because everything that I'd been telling her and like what drives me insane about myself and what I want to control better and like what just makes my life maddening. She was like, I want you to go home and look up the symptoms of adult ADHD and tell me if it makes you want to cry, basically. Mm-hmm. Actually, she didn't say that. She was just like, tell me if it resonates with you. And then I read them and I started
for
crying.
Melody, that means if something resonates with Melody, that's full on cry. Cry.
So anyway, one of the things that I've been trying to commit to is bullet journaling. And I've been doing this since before I started even investigating ADHD.
Love a bullet journal. It's the only thing that keeps me together.
Really? You're a bullet journaler?
Oh, yeah.
Erin, you contain such depths.
For years.
But you're also a compulsive calendarer. You do both?
Yes.
Huh. Okay, I've been compulsive calendaring lately, and it's actually been helping.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So I've been trying to bullet journal. Uh-huh. But my issue is that I don't think this has anything to do with the ADHD part of myself. It has to do with the perfectionist part of myself. I'm always like, if my bullet journal isn't going to look like the artist on YouTube's bullet journal.
I don't do any of that bullshit doodling. Who has time for that shit?
I don't know, but my bullet journal is so ugly.
Yeah.
And
who cares?
Basically, all I've been able to do so far is just write lists and cross them out and then kind of do the carryover situation and write more lists. Mm-hmm. And that's all I've been able to do. Cannot do more. I don't make a drawn out calendar. I don't do the tracking habits thing because I just feel like I'm not there yet. But my lady love this week is try to do something that is against your nature, because bullet journaling is completely against my nature. Mm-hmm. I will turn the bullet journal into the task instead of using it to help me do my actual tasks.
Ooh, that's very ADHD.
Yes. Oh my God.
Textbook.
And that's literally my life. Like I spend so much time designing a fucking bulletin board and then never actually putting anything on the bulletin board. Jesus. So anyway, know your limits and just, if you cannot make a pretty bullet journal, just say, fuck it. Nobody needs a pretty bullet journal.
That's not the point of it. Like, I don't understand why people draw plants all over it. It's incredible to me because bullet journals started, I'm sorry, here, bing, boong, bong,
no, please tell
lady
me.
love
segment
Erin. For me. I found out about bullet journals on a blog called Life Hacker. And it was a GTD thing. It was a getting things done. It was a life hack. It was a productivity maximizer.
Right.
At that point. And then now it's been like hijacked. This has been years ago. And now it's been hijacked by this like Pinterest, like learn how to draw a fucking little cactus and do my calligraphy letters and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why? Why do you need to draw October out and put leaves around it and shit? The whole point of this thing is a productivity tool.
Right.
Why is it becoming an art project? It makes no sense. If you want to do an art project, do a fucking art project. What are you going to do? Look back on this and like frame it someday? I don't understand the point.
Apparently people do. They're like, and if you want to, in your index, write down the idea you had for a blah, blah, blah. And then in your index, write down idea I had for a blah, 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 so that you can refer to it. And I cannot wrap my brain around I can't wrap my brain around that either.
I'll put in my index on page 34. It's my notes from this meeting, or on page whatever. It's my notes from this training or whatever like that. So I can go back and reference it. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is that you have a planner that's not restricted to the planner format, so you can keep everything in one place.
Yes.
That's the usefulness. I give zero fucks about drawing a cactus doodle. I don't get it. I don't understand why. I don't understand. I don't get it. And in fact, I feel like in a professional setting, if you take out your bullet journal and it's like a fucking watercolor painting of the American flag because it was just 4th of July, everyone in the room is going to be like, oh, so she has more time than,
fair.
Like, we're not maximizing our use of this employee, clearly. I don't get it. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess that's my sort of lady love is like, try to do something against your nature, but don't get super pissed at yourself if it's not
perfect,
amazing or perfect. Yeah. Because can I just tell you how much of a mind fuck it is to be a perfectionist with ADHD? It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
I'm sure it is.
Okay. What is your lady love?
Okay, it's this. And when this comes out, I hope fall is in like full swing wherever it is you live. When we're recording this, it's in full swing here in Alaska, but it happens about 3 weeks earlier than everywhere else and for 5 minutes and then it's over.
Right.
But there's always a lot of like internet hate for like women who love fall. Like the pendulum has swung the other way. Like maybe 5 years ago, it was like everyone was like, fall, pumpkin spice lattes and boots and sweaters and bonfires.
Well, yeah.
And now
I think that coincided to when like being basic became an insult.
Right, exactly. And now the pendulum has swung far the other way into like all of that makes you basic. And I think that this is preaching to the choir probably for our audience because it's like we're going to like what we like and we don't give a shit what other people think.
Fuck all
That's
y'all.
what romance novels are a lot of the time.
Right.
But it's just like, God damn it, this world is so fucking terrible right now. Like there's so much terrible shit just swirling around all the time, no matter what side of anything you're on. It's just like, it's swirling and it's terrible and it's hateful and everything is negative and awful. And if like you want to light a fucking candle and that's what makes you feel good about your day, just don't feel bad about getting a pumpkin spice latte because somebody's giving you a side eye because they're like, oh, she's basic. Just enjoy your pumpkin spice latte. Candle. Yeah. Enjoy your fall. Enjoy your flannels and your coziness and your bonfires and don't let anybody tell you different. Because you might be basic, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because fuck all y'all.
Yeah, fuck all y'all.
That's
Gelato teenagers.
We'll be sexy wherever we want, gelato teenagers.
Where are bonfires?
You're just afraid of the awesomeness that is our riding boots, gelato teenagers.
We want boots that zip all the way up. Well, I can't wear those, but anybody else can have the boots that zip. I have teeny tiny... Listen, this is a tip. This is longer than the episode, you guys. It's just us talking about shit at the end. Is I have teeny tiny little feet and big old fucking calves. So there's no knee-high zip-up boot that can fit my lifestyle.
Yeah, you know what? The nice thing about having boat feet is that I can also have barge-sized shins.
Yeah, I've got meaty calves and teeny tiny little foot-binding figure skater feet. That's the problem. Anyway. All right.
I'm nothing if not proportional.
Just that part of me. Okay, so you can find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on Twitter at Heaving_Bosoms. I'm never going to do this correctly. Facebook, Heaving Bosoms Podcast. Facebook group, Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. Listen, especially if there's meetups happening in the Chicagoland area. There are meetups happening in Louisiana. I saw Minnesota go by that I'm not sure if it worked out, but if you're in Minnesota, there's people looking for other people in Minnesota trying to get together. Yeah. Texas, I saw go around. So there are HB meetups happening. So if you want to have friends, get on the Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult. And did I miss one? heavingbosoms@gmail.com. Email us. We're going to do a 1-year anniversary episode where we're going to talk about emails and answer questions and do a mailbag and stuff. So if you got questions for us, send us those.
Yeah. And my dream is if you have like a personal story about romance novels or whatever it is, like I just want to hear about how this hobby, how this passion, how this world has impacted you. I think it would be amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And our website is heavingbosomspodcast.com. It's always going to be a little late, but all the episodes will eventually matriculate to that website.
Yeah, absolutely. And
join our Patreon. We have Patreon episodes as well. Bonus content.
Oh, yeah. We have bonus content for you that is super fun. Mm-hmm. And that is at patreon.com/heavingbosoms.
Or if you go to our website, it's under bonus content.
Yes. And so keeping a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love third-degree burns that burn real hard instead of slow burns.
They can be slow, too. Mm-hmm. Third-degree burns can happen slow. Just stand still, bitches. Love yourself as much as you love
a slow burn that's actually burning.
Yes. That's what we would like.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Bye, Mel.
Love you, Erin.
Love you, too.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.